Ask Abby, providing answers, insights, and education designed to give you the tools and knowledge you need to thrive financially and live confidently in retirement.
And here with Abby Reed of the Reed Financial Group, the retirement family, for another edition of Ask Abby. Now, Abby, over the past couple episodes, we have been talking about a specific type of product and a financial option, annuities. We have talked about the importance and the complexities of Social Security. Each of those important elements or financial options, but neither one of them is going to truly compose the entirety of our plan for retirement, or shouldn't, correct?
Correct. So it's a little bit more complicated than that. There's a lot of different moving parts, and a part of the initial process for retirement planning is to figure out how much income you need in retirement. And then also how much income your net worth, your savings, your investments can actually produce. And is there a match there? And that's really going to be able to tell us, is it a good time to retire? Can you maybe retire a little bit earlier than you thought? Or do you need to maybe wait a couple of years? But that's really the process that we go through when we're starting to look at the overall plan.
Do you feel like this is an aspect in our financial progress that is ignored or overlooked because during our working career, it's taken care of by the fact that we show up to work and earn a paycheck?
Most people, when they're looking at, I want to retire or I want to see when I can retire, a lot of the focus has been on what's my number. So there was even a commercial maybe 5-10 years ago that had people carrying a number underneath their arm, if anybody can remember that. And it was, okay, once I reach $1 million in my retirement accounts or $2 million in my retirement accounts, that's when, I'll be able to retire. So it's really been more of an accumulation lump sum type conversation instead of an income conversation. And that is completely different. It's a paradigm shift, especially because most of us these days don't have pensions. Social Security is not going to, especially for our higher earners, Social Security is not going to replace as much of their income as maybe it has in the past, or maybe it does for some other people. So it's really a shift from accumulation to retirement, which is preservation and distribution. The rules are completely different. The strategies are completely different, or should be completely different. And it's not talked about as much because it's not as fun as talking about stocks and rate of return, all of that sort of thing. It's just a little bit more boring and consistent, but that's really what we need in retirement.
I think you're absolutely right, though. The conversation is about how much we have, or what that lump sum is, or what that rate of return has been. That's in large part the main focus when we're talking about our investment progress. Why is it so important that we shift that conversation? And then what are the subtleties? How does the shift in focus occur so that we reprioritize for retirement needs?
So the conversation really has to start with your goals. So what kind of lifestyle do you want in retirement? What kind of vacations do you want to be able to take in retirement? Do you want to be able to pay for your grandchildren's or your niece or nephew's college? Do you want to be able to give to charity on a consistent basis? Those are the type of goals that we really have to identify before we start the retirement planning process, because that's going to give us our target, right? So somebody that has two people that have $2 million each, one of them wants to spend $10,000 a month, one of them wants to spend $5,000 a month. Those are going to be completely different situations, even though they have the same amount of money. And that's all because of the budget or their monthly income goal. And so that's where the conversation has to start. A lot of times with our clients, they've been high earners, they've been successful, they're at the top of their career a lot of times, and they haven't really had to keep track of their budget. They haven't really wanted to keep track of their budget. They don't necessarily know exactly how much they spend per month. So that's a process. And that's a process that we help our clients through, is taking a look at your spending, seeing what your goals are, and then also making sure that you have income matches. So for your fixed expenses, we want to cover that with guaranteed income sources. Then for the variable expenses, so vacations, a new car here and there, those can be covered by assets or growth. But really for the fixed expenses, those need to be covered with guaranteed income. That's how it was done in the past with pensions. And that's why it was just a much easier decision in the past when people had pensions, because they knew that when I reach a certain age, I'm going to still get 90 or 80% of my income that I'm getting right now. And I'll be okay with that. Anything else I accumulate besides that is kind of just gravy, and I can use it for the things that come up, emergencies, fun stuff like vacations, all of that. It was just an easier process. And now the risk and the responsibility has been shifted to the individual instead of on the company or the employer to produce that income.
So to paraphrase, and you can state if you agree, but kind of a shift from how much we have to how much reliance we are going to place on what we have there. And there sort of have been some guidelines for how much reliance and cash flow is suggestible or dependable and reliable, correct?
Yeah, so I think where that conversation came from was if you have $1 million or $2 million and you take out 4% or 5% or whatever withdrawal rate you choose, you have a fairly good chance of not running out of money. And so that's where I believe that conversation came from. That's a very outdated rule now, though, and things have changed, and so the conversation has to change as well. And based on where interest rates have been, where they are now, strategies change. And so the conversation has to change as well. How much income do you need your portfolio to generate? Also part of that conversation is, what are your estate planning goals? Do you want to leave a legacy to your children or your grandchildren? And if so, that needs to be a part of the strategy as well, because that's a much longer time frame than just the individual's retirement. And so the strategy needs to be a little bit adjusted for that as well. So it's really all about goals. And that's what we help to identify in the first couple steps of our process, is what your goals are, so that we can tailor the retirement plan to the individual so that they have long-term success, whatever success is in their terms. And that's what we identify when we talk about the goals.
When do we really need to start considering making that transition, Abby, from the more accumulation and growth mindset to the income planning, preparation, and generation?
I think that typically around 5 years from your retirement goal is a good time to start doing that. Because that gives us a little bit more opportunity to make adjustments, and then also have some time before the actual retirement date or the goal retirement date. And then also, if we're going to get together with somebody and they say they want to retire in 5 years, we'll be able to tell if that's a realistic goal or if they're going to have to make some adjustments now in order to be able to retire in 5 years. And so that gives us a little bit of a runway, and also gives us some time to start making those changes and shifting the strategy and shifting that conversation.
You mentioned the change in the interest rate environment. What other factors and variables need to be considered as we are mapping out that income power of our portfolio?
So risk is a huge component to all of this. So rate of return is almost always the conversation, because that's the way we've been trained. That's what when we flip on the TV to one of those channels that has talks about stocks. It's all about rate of return, and it's understandable, and it's also fun to talk about. But the conversation is like we've been talking about, a little bit different in retirement. So there's a couple of things to consider. So sequence of returns risk is when you start taking distributions from your portfolio. Large losses, especially in the beginning years, can devastate your income plan and make you run out of money much, much earlier, even if you have the same rate of return. So what we try and teach people is even if the rate of return is the same with two different portfolios, the one that has the lower risk, that's going to be the more efficient portfolio. So we have to take a look at our clients' risk, see if that matches their goals, and then maybe make some shifts from there, which is definitely a different conversation. Income generation is a much different investment strategy than growth, and that is difficult for some people to wrap their minds around. So producing income from whether it's some type of annuity, maybe an income note, which we utilize as well, dividend stocks, those type things that are going to consistently produce that income and meet those income needs. Those are some of the things that we need to talk about.
If somebody wants to talk through their need for income and how to plan and prepare for it, you and the rest of the retirement family there at Reed Financial Group are happy to have those conversations and in fact do so and help people plan proactively every day.
Right. So our process, our retirement planning process is built for this. So this walks people through, this is where you are right now. Let's identify where you want to go, and then we can help you with the steps to get there. And so that's what we do for people.
Well, if you would like to be in touch, pick up the phone, give the Reed Financial Group, the retirement family, a call, where you can visit online, theretirementfamily.com, Reed Financial Group there as your resource, ladies and gentlemen. Reaching out on phone 678-442-0255, 678-442-0255, or theretirementfamily.com. Or you can submit your question and get in touch directly with Abby at goaskabby.com. It's your resource for this program and your ability to maybe submit some questions or issues that you would like to hear discussed that have been on your mind. So goaskabby.com or give Reed Financial Group, the retirement family, a call, 678-442-0255. Abby, always a pleasure having you on the program and giving us the explanation of the important factors we need to consider.
Thanks, Peter.
Here to answer your financial questions, visit the website goaskabby.com for show resources and to submit your questions and get answers, or to schedule your complimentary financial investment and retirement planning strategy session. You can also reach out to Abby directly at 678-442-0255. That's 678-442-0255, or at goaskabby.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Capital Management, LLC, BCM, a registered investment advisor. BCM and Reed Financial Group are independent of each other. Insurance products and services are not offered through BCM, but are offered and sold through individually licensed and appointed agents. Third-party ratings and recognitions are no guarantee of future investment success and do not ensure that a client or prospective client will experience a higher level of performance or results. These ratings should not be construed as an endorsement of the advisor by any client, nor are they representative of any one client's evaluation.